My name is Wayne and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to put the Baer Remaster master cylinder as well as their adjustable portioning valve on the Cuda. So let's open up the boxes, check out the parts, and see what we have to work with. So let's open up the Baer Master and see what we have. Alright, let's open up the box of Baer and see what this master and proportion valve looks like. Ah, there's staples in there. That's what it was. Alright, so here's the adjustable proportion valve. Here is the master. And a couple of the jumper lines, and as well as instructions. And as always, we have the classic Baer stickers, well, a package of plugs, fittings, and a little tag, I guess, made in Phoenix, USA, where Baer is 15/16. So this is the smallest bore they make. This is what they suggest for a car with manual brakes like what I have. So we're staying manual, going to keep it simple. And there we go. Here's jumper lines. Let's open up this master now. Look at that. You can get these polished, but I wanted it a little more subtle, easier to maintain. Went with black. So this is billet aluminum, all anodized. Check that out. Threaded ports on top. Got some plugs. Nice. Look at that. That's some quality stuff right there. Yeah, so I figured, I had not replaced the master. I know the guy I bought it from, he did when he was getting it on the road, but I wanted to just upgrade the entire system, trying to alleviate any issues. So let's do the master while we're doing the brakes. Want a system that's all designed to work together. And I really like their adjustable portioning valve. So if you look at it, it's designed to literally bolt right underneath the master cylinder. So maybe you're wondering why I want to keep it manual brakes. So the car originally was a manual brake car, and I like the simplicity of it. And number two, I do like the extra clearance and room I have in the engine bay without having, the big booster. And I've also known people who have done actually road racing and autocross cars competitively that were four-wheel manual disc brake cars. And they had no problems. But yes, your pedal effort's going to be a little bit more, but it does work, and it works just fine. The other thing, when we were building the motor, we wanted to have an aggressive cam, and try to get the most power we could out of this. So we did end up putting a larger cam in it, and it doesn't have enough vacuum right now anyway to run, power brakes. So with all that being said, that's a little bit of the history why I'm keeping it manual brakes. So the other thing we have to look at is plumbing, how we're going to plumb this thing. So I reached out to Baer and I said, hey, the factory cars have this metering block. Do I need to use that, or can I get rid of it? And they said you don't have to use it, and if you do keep it in there, you need to take basically the guts out of it. There's a spring and a valve, I believe. So basically, now after looking at it, I think it might be a lot easier if I leave it in just for plumbing purposes, and then just run two lines from that up to the proportioning valve. So the first thing I want to do is take the lines, unbolt those from the master, and once I get the master off, I notice that the support bracket has some little bit of corrosion. You can tell that the master is leaked out the back because the paint started to bubble. So I'd repainted that obviously when I had the engine out and the master cylinder out when I was redoing the brakes, but I repainted it. But let's look at to redo that again. So first we're going to use our line wrench to get the lines out of the master. So If you haven't been following along my videos, you know I just put brakes in the car. The whole system should be dry, but I did put a little bit of cardboard down beneath it and on the side here, just maybe to catch anything that spills or could splash out. So safety first. And if you don't have a couple of line wrenches, you definitely want to buy a few. They're so important when you're working on your brakes. So if you round off those nuts, man, make your life miserable. You need to make them pretty tight, and they're such a small nut, you really need that line wrench to be able to get good torque on it. All right. Okay. Lines are out. Nothing really came out, so that's good. Now the fun part, underneath the dash. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to use the camera down here while I'm taking the Master out, but a quick glimpse is we have the bolt that connects the rod to the brake lever, and then you have your four nuts that hold the studs that come through the firewall. So we'll have to use a deep extension or deep socket and extension to get to those, but it's pretty simple. It's just tight and really can't film it. Alright, so the Master is all unbolted and it should slide right out right now. Be careful, make sure we don't drip any fluid. So next I want to get the support bracket off the firewall for the Master cylinder, because it's definitely bubbled up from a leaky Master, so I want to repaint that. So that just has these two nuts I got to remove, and so the first thing I'm going to do to this bracket before I try to start sanding it down and getting it ready for paint is I want to give a quick wipe down with the wax and grease remover. Try to get any brake fluid off of it, because these are tough to do. Ideally you want to sandblast it, but I don't have time. But once I start sanding it, you're going to almost like rub and like sand any of that brake fluid into the metal. It's kind of creates a mess, so we got to clean it a lot through all the stages. So I just cleaned and sanded the bracket. Now we're going to go paint it and see how it looks. Alright, so I just got the studs out of my Master cylinder and they're in pretty good shape. So we're going to see how these press in. It looks like they should press in pretty good. So don't really want to use like bolts and nuts because you'd never be able to hold it. It would be a two-man operation. So studs is the way to go again. So we're going to press these in, or probably draw them in with a couple nuts and some washers. Alright, last stud to draw through. These are going in no problem, so that's reassuring. You never know with aftermarket parts as far as their design intention, if they intended to use the factory studs or not, but these are working great. Drawing up no problem. Alright, that's it. Studs are done. Alright, so now we're going to bolt up the adjustable proportion valve. And this is one thing I just love about it. So it's designed to bolt directly below the Master. Look at that. Really nice and tight packaging. So it's one thing I like, and one reason why I wanted to stick with the manual brakes is just more room under the hood, and this is going to help that cause even more. So All right, so they have their supplied hardware. We're gonna get the bolt started and get that all lined up. A little snug. My although my little hex socket is actually a little too big to get in there. It's really, those bolts are really close to the master cylinder body, so I have to try just an Allen wrench. Alright, well, this could take a while. Can only get like 3/4 of a turn before I gotta readjust it, because again the heads are so close to the body here. Jeez, oh Pete's. Alright, well, hopefully this is the only time I have to ever bolt this on or off, right? Hopefully. Alright, that came out really nice, really slick. I like it. So we have the front in, front out, and rear in and rear out. Now, important fact about these adjustable proportioning valves is only the rear is actually proportioned. So you can dial that in. So we'll get into more of that later. But next is I want to look at the actual push rod. So the factory master cylinder has this whole plunger mechanism and whatnot, and this little seal or ring would sit right about here on the factory master cylinder. Well, this one doesn't have any of that. It has a deeper cavity, and it can go in much deeper, so that's too deep, right? But thankfully I was reading the instructions, and they have this little plug, let's call it. So we're going to slide this little plug down in there, and when we slide that in, that's like the exact same engagement. You can even see this little rust line almost where it would sit flush with the back of the original master cylinder. So that's going to be perfect. So yeah. So I have a new firewall gasket. And oh yeah, let's go check out my support bracket. So I painted that. Let's see how it looks. Well, it's not bad, it's not great, it's a little rough, but honestly most of this all gets covered up, so I'm not too concerned. But yeah, that'll work. So again, we have our new gasket to use, yeah, right there, and our foam gasket is pretty decent on the firewall. But I did go ahead and order a new one just because we're here. So I'm going to install this, and then we're going to figure out what we have to do for our lines. So, oh yeah, so here's the new firewall gasket. It goes behind the support bracket. It's just foam, and these are sold by a company here in Michigan, Detroit Muscle Technologies. So they do a lot of gaskets, you know, so that's their specialty. All different types of materials of gaskets, you name it. So, and he's really quick to getting the stuff out too, whatever you need. So kind of cool, and that'll be nice. So the other one, it was decent, but had a little staining on it. So for a couple bucks, we'll put a new one on while we're here. Right there. Slide in our new gasket. Over those 4 studs, and then I'm just going to leave those nuts snug until we get our master through those holes and all down. Now the instructions do show that you need to install these little inserts, these little brass inserts into your master cylinder and your proportioning valve. They don't come pre-installed, so it's going to mate up as such, you know, flare to flare, male to female on your tube. And you want to make sure you get those installed so they're seated all the way down in there. And what I'm finding out that works really well is just a Phillips screwdriver, because you can put that right in the center and get that seated pretty well. We'll do it on the rear as well. There we go. Alright, and then you can see, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but those are all in and they look pretty good. Alright, so now we can do our jumper lines. So these are off actually a little bit, aren't they? Surprised, but front jumper. So that's why you kind of almost want to like do your a little bend in the middle in this case, since it was a little too long, and then once you bend it in the middle, that'll draw it in and then tweak out the ends. So if you just kind of bend right here to try to straighten up and make up for that difference, won't be straight in. So alright, good. Alright, I like it. Let's check that out. Alright, it's pretty slick. Alright, now we have to, so these are the two lines I'm gonna have to make that go to the metering block, but first let's get the metering block out and get that thing disassembled. I was doing some thinking about how I want to plumb these brakes, and I think I have a better idea. Alright, so I was thinking my two options would be to get rid of this, which I thought would be kind of a headache and having to make a bunch of new lines, or use it and strip it out, the guts. And that was my first thought and intention, but then I'm like, well, let's take a closer look at the brake lines that are on this thing and try to figure out what we have going on. Alright, so this line here is the passenger side front, and here is the driver side front. And the beauty of this is they both come in on opposite sides of each other. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a brass T to join the two fronts, and then the top side of the T, I can run my little jumper out of that to my proportioning valve. And then for my rear line, which is this one here, all I have to do is do like a little union with a 90 and then bend another line up to the adjustable valve. So that's going to be a lot simpler. I can get rid of this, don't have to worry about trying to strip out the guts of it. And I think it'll be even cleaner and less lines, right? I can get rid of these big jumper lines to the master that have the big coils in them, and I can just run two simple lines and make those up. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's get this out and all the lines disconnected. We just got to make sure we know which ones are what. I mean, it's pretty simple. We have our fronts and the rear, and then we have this jumper and this jumper, so which we won't use. So here's our block. That's what it all looks like. So I think this will be a lot better solution. Just running the T's in my union and make a couple lines. So let's figure that out. All right, so I got my best partner here helping me out, holding it in place while I go inside and try to pull this thing down. You got it?
Yeah.
All right.
Heavy.
It's a little heavy, it's a little awkward, right? Okay. Good?
Yeah. See it?
We're looking good. You did a good job.
Okay. Yeah. Seal. Oh, it's tight enough. Oh, there we go. It's not tight enough.
Check it out.
It's not tight enough. It's going to be longer. I just.
Yeah, I got 2 of the nuts started. I gotta do. Oh yeah. Yeah. Can
It's
you,
many.
yeah. Can you hold it like that a little bit more? All right. Go now.
Oh yeah. It's.
Good, I got them all hand tight, and now I'm gonna use my wrench and tighten it up good. This guy's awesome, high five. All right. All right, so I need to bring in my wingman for a little extra help getting that master in, so let's check that out real quick. All right, here it is, all bolted in, and came out real nice. We still have my lines to sort out, but yeah, you can see this package in there really well. So I'm really glad I went with the black too. And they have all different colors and chrome, right, polished, but I like the Baer, the black Baer. That looks really good anodized. So I'm happy with it. Man, that looks awesome. Can't wait to drive it. Like you said, you've been hearing me say that for weeks, even months, but I still can't wait to drive it, and we're getting closer. Now, I was hoping to sort out the brake lines in this video too. And now I didn't have a flaring tool, believe it or not. That's something I've actually never done, but I borrowed one from my buddies. It just wasn't working, especially on my stainless lines that I have. So I ordered a new flaring tool, and the next video is probably what we'll be working on, is flaring the stainless lines and getting the jumper lines all made for the car. So that'll probably be next, or the emergency brake cables. I should have those in too, so we'll see what I do next, but that's it for today. So that's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully you guys liked it, and if you did, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. And if you turn on the bell notification, you'll be notified each and every time I upload a new video. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.